Hello, welcome back to another video. Tis I, Dollar Store Nuxanor, and today we got the moment that decides if games and anime remain censored. I'm serious, by good old Chibimus Reviewicus. Let's get into it.
It's ridiculous that we cannot go.
I can't hear shit. Fucking headsets off. There we are. Alright, let's go.
It's ridiculous that we cannot go a single day in the last month and a half without some form of news about a government, a company, or some form of activist group trying to censor the free internet, censor freedom of expression, censor free speech, and collect your data.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how all of them, quote-unquote, coincidentally decided to start popping off with these censorship laws all at the same time, and all under the exact same guise of, oh, we're trying to protect children. Meanwhile, a literal politician who voted for the Online Safety Act was caught with, a child with CP. He was caught with CP on his devices and whatnot, and he was caught with child abuse images on his phone. Like, bro, what a world we live in, where they'll claim they're doing something for the sake of protecting kids, yet those exact same people will be quite literally outed for being fucking PDFs. It's fucking insane, dude. Fucking insane. Oh, but no, don't you can't connect the dots, or you're a conspiracy theorist.
It's honestly ridiculous. When it happens once or twice in a short time frame, you might chalk it up as a coincidence. But when it happens literally like 10, 20, 30 times, and it continues to grow, that is no longer just a coincidence. And anyone at this point in time still trying to deny that this isn't coordinated, I don't know what to say. Because it is ridiculous just how many governments around the world collectively decided to get the exact same idea of trying to censor.
Yeah, you have what? You have Australia who did it. You have and they're the ones who instigated the payment processor shit. And the payment processors were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. You have the UK who pushed it. I think the EU is now trying to push their own, I believe. And you have also the US trying to push the exact same thing, but they're trying to pretend like they're not. It's fucking insane, dude. Like, all these governments around the world, all the major governments around the world are trying to do it. It's like, bro, I'm amazed that Russia hasn't come out with its own iteration of this. Not gonna lie. Like, shit. Let me actually Google that. I'm actually curious now. Let's see here. Let's see. Does Let's see here. Oh, they don't need it. They already have their own censored framework. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Like right here. Russia does not have a single unified Internet Safety Act, but rather a complex system of laws and regulations that together form a highly controlled and censored online environment. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes a little more sense. Yeah, they don't have their own version of it, but they have a multitude of laws. I'm like, yeah, that tracks. That tracks. No wonder they haven't come out with their own Internet Safety Act. They don't need it. They've been having it for years. But yeah, it's fucking wild that all these governments, all these world governments, all of a sudden are trying to, pass these exact same laws, controlling everything, and then you have companies just bending the knee, not even trying to fight back. It's like a little curious, if you ask me. Not gonna lie, and a little too coincidental
for everyone, trying to censor the internet, trying to censor gaming, trying to censor artists. It's ridiculous. Now, there is a lot of news that I want to cover in today's video. There is some bad, obviously, and there's some good. And there is just so much. We got stuff with Brazil, we got stuff with Canada, we got stuff with the United States, we got stuff with Japan, we got stuff with Collective Shout. There is so much I want to cover in this video, and so let's start off with what you could see on the screen already, this petition. So this is an official petition in Canada right now. Now, for those that are unaware, Canada does also have a law currently within their government that is trying to do the exact same thing that the Online Safety Act in the UK and the Digital Service Act.
Honestly, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised Canada has something like this already in play, or is trying to push something like this. Genuinely, I mean, this is the same country, to be fair, that quite literally restricted banking access to truckers just because the truckers were saying mean things about the government and disagreeing with the government's with the leader's policies. Like, dude, it's fucking wild, man. But like that should have been a clear fucking sign, in my opinion, for the rest of the world to be like, okay, we sort of need to do something about payment processors. But no, it had to get this far for people to be for America to be like, yo, we need to do something about payment processors. Like, bro, I'm amazed it took this long for a government of any country to be like, yeah, payment processors are a little too powerful, and the fact that they can control this much stuff is a little insane, not gonna lie.
In the European Union is currently doing. For instance, censoring the internet, censoring freedom of expression, knowing who you are through ID or whatever, age restrictions and stuff like that. What we have definitely seen in the last month and a half, that it's not about protecting children. There is a current law or bill within the Canadian government that is trying to do the exact same thing, which I've already covered on the channel. This petition here is more or less trying to talk about the censorship and call in the, Canadian government like, hey, we do not like what's going on with these payment processors and stuff trying to censor people. For instance, the petition, what it tries to outline here is MasterCard, Visa, and other payment platforms have been leveraging their power over consumer ability to purchase legal content. In 2021, MasterCard changed its policies to regulate adult entertainment by preventing the use of its payment platform on numerous adult entertainment sites. As of July 2025, video game distribution service Steam now cites Rule 15 that adult-only content is not permitted on the platform if it goes against payment processor policies. Steam does not describe that content is defined as adult only. So to basically give a brief rundown, there is a petition ongoing right now in Canada, and I highly recommend every single Canadian that cares about freedom of expression, cares about the way to express yourself within art or gaming or whatever, to sign this petition and to get.
Yeah, like they're covering the whole gaming stuff, and it's pretty insane because quite literally you have PayPal deleting accounts of people who make NSFW type games and keeping all the money. And I'm just like, how the fuck is that not illegal whatsoever? Like, holy shit, dude. How is it not illegal for PayPal to just outright close your account and not pay you out and essentially keep all your money? How is that just not blatant theft? Like, holy shit. Not to mention, everyone's favorite current anime, Freyrin. Dude, fucking Fern is a child, technically, under the law. Like, she is, current, according to the Googles, she's around 17 years old. She's not an adult yet. When Freyrin first encounters Fern, she's 9. And then later on, when they're like journeying with Stark and whatnot, she's 15. So technically, Freyrin could realistically be booted off the internet because of all this stuff. Like, it's insane how much it's stupid, dude. These laws that literally try to blur fiction from reality under the guise of protecting people while also not doing anything to actually protect people is utter bullshit, man. Like, holy shit. How does a fucking video game about big tittied anime waifus affect women IRL? How does stopping those video games prevent, like, I don't know, sex trafficking or child sex trafficking? How does blocking a video game prevent any of that stuff? Exactly. I'm genuinely curious. How does arresting a man because he has photos of a goddamn video game on his phone that he's quite literally going to the convention of that video game at AnimeCon protect women whatsoever? Like, holy, like, dude, it's the dumbest thing on the planet. People who cannot differentiate fiction from reality are genuinely people who should not have a voice in anything regarding censorship whatsoever. Like, censorship shouldn't even be a fucking topic of discussion, especially online censorship, because it's ridiculous, man. What next? Is Dragon Ball gonna get taken off the internet? How many anime is Crunchyroll just gonna be outright nuked because of the amount of animes that Crunchyroll themselves have sponsored and whatnot and backed that have kids? What about Konosuba? I think all the people in Konosuba are what, late teens? Like shit. How old is fucking Megumin? I'm actually curious now. Fuck. How old is Megumi? Megumin is literally 14 years old in Konosuba. So would Konosuba be immediately removed from the internet under all these laws and whatnot? What about Konosuba, an explosion on this wonderful world? She's 12 in that. Let's not forget her little sister Komiko is also in the anime and in the movie. I'm also curious, how old is Darkness? Okay, so Darkness is 18. All right, Darkness is an adult. All right. But it's like, bro, it's so stupid, dude. For them to be like, oh my god, we have to do this to protect kids. Like, bro, do you know how many mediums out there show kids? How many mediums out there that you'd have to block and ban? It's fucking stupid. High school DxD, they're all high schoolers. Are you gonna block that fucking shit? Maybe not the best example, but you get my point. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. Like, it's so stupid, man. It's genuinely stupid.
Your government to actually respond. And also, apparently, there is some politicians that are actually backing this as well, backing this petition within.
All right, I will say that is a good. That is good. It's good that there's some politicians out there that are seeing this and being like, "Yo, this is stupid as shit. We shouldn't have this." Like, it's wild that they'll go after fictional mediums like anime and video games, but they're totally okay with stuff like OnlyFans and Fansly being a thing, which actually deals with real women and deals with these very predatory and parasitic tactics on both sides, the consumer and the I don't want to say producer, but I think it's the only way. The producer and the consumer, they both fall under these very predatory tactics for both OnlyFans and Fansly, but payment processors won't do anything about that. It's a little odd. Like it's dumb as shit how they'll target fictional media, yet they'll leave stuff like that stuff like that will go untouched. It's so hypocritical, and I'm so glad that there's actual politicians out there that are backing these types of petitions to essentially get rid of these laws.
In Canada, so that is some good news. So this clearly does have some significant weight. There is definitely a voice that is building here, and so I urge Canadians to do what's probably right. This is the time to band together and fight for your freedom. That's just my personal opinion, and that's why I'm bringing this up first, because this is some good news, and this is, Canadians being able to actually fight back. And people have been asking me for a while, Chibi, what can we do? How can we fight back? As I've said prior, contact your local governments, contact your senator, your governor, or whatever form of position of power within your country is. Try to talk with them. Try to let them know what is going on and explain to them. And, something could theoretically be done. If there's enough voices talking about it, obviously they will have to respond. And so in this case, that's what's going on here. So if you're Canadian,
In my opinion, that's too hopeful. It's too hopeful to think that, they'll actually listen what you have to say, given that the UK, quite literally, you just saw it, there was a petition. It reached the number of signatures it needed, and the government quite literally brushed it off. They didn't even they didn't even glance at it. Like, to think that other governments won't do the same, it's like, it's too much wishful thinking. Yeah, it might do something in certain, like here in America, it might do something in certain states, but like for example, in California, that won't do shit. Genuinely, that genuinely won't do shit. Contacting your senators and governor and fucking new scum, that won't do a damn thing, because they don't care. They only care about pushing their own agenda. And if this will further their own agenda, then that's exactly what they're gonna do.
I highly recommend you to look into this and sign this petition for your government can respond. Just like how there's an official petition in the Canadian government to fight back against payment processors, there is now a petition within the Australian government to also do the exact same thing. This is literally breaking news. This just came out like a few minutes ago of me editing my video, and so I'm sharing this with all of you guys right now. So if you are an Australian, then you should...
I will say, I am glad to see that people are actually trying to fight back themselves, though. I will say, even if this goes nowhere, it'll essentially show two things: that the people don't approve of this, and that the government that they elected quite literally doesn't give two shits what the people want. And that'll essentially wake up the masses, and they'll vote differently. They'll straight up just vote 100% differently and vote for different people who will actually listen. Like, this gives rise to a new wave of politicians that can use this as an example to essentially be like, yo, look at what you guys try to do. The current government ignored that. If I was in office, I would not have ignored that, and I would have listened to y'all's complaints. That's essentially what it opens up the floor to. Which is kind of scary, because that's also sort of how a certain painter from Austria rose to power in Germany, showing that the government wasn't listening to the people, wasn't trying to do anything to make the lives of the people better. And he said, if you elect me and vote me in, I will actually try to make the lives of my people better. That's essentially how he rose to power. And that'll essentially give way for someone else like that to rise to power. And you sort of never know who that type of individual might be. They might actually try to like do the things that they say they did, and go back and look at like these types of petitions, change laws, abolish certain laws and put in other laws in place, so that way stuff like this never happens. Or we might get Austrian Painter 2.0 Electric Boogaloo. You never know, but it will give rise to something like that if the governments do not listen to what the people have to say. That, or it'll give rise to a modern day revolution in some of these places.
Also be signing this petition as well. It's basically to do the exact same thing that the Canadian petition is doing, to stop the censorship of the internet, to stop payment processors from denying services to like Steam and itch.io and stuff like that. So if you don't want to be censored, if you don't like what these payment processors have been doing, then 100% sign this petition and speak out and talk about this to your local politicians or representatives within your country. Now, this is the United States calling out the UK and the EU for the censorship of the internet, and how it's an attack on not just creative freedom, but free speech itself within America. And within this hearing that is outlined, they were talking about Europe's threat to American speech and innovation, and here's the witnesses that were coming in also for...
What I don't like about this is the fact that they're also still trying to push their own bill in all this. Like, genuinely. Like, the Kids Online Safety Act is still a thing. So far, the Kids Online Safety Act has still only had one fucking action, and that action was taken in May 14th of this year, read twice and referred to the Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation. And I'm still trying to understand why something like the quote unquote Kids Online Safety Act would be sent to those committees. The fact that there's 41 co-sponsors for this is fucking insane to me. I'm not gonna lie, like, dude, it's a fucking joke. Like, it's this fucking massive joke, dude. Like, dude, like the fact that this is a thing, it baffles me genuinely. Holy shit. But yeah, like the like it's like, oh, it's sort of like they're oh my god, dude, it's so fucking weird, dude. I don't know how to explain it. It's like they're trying to make it look like they're trying to fight back against this type of law, this type of encroachment of foreign entities into American laws, regulations, and American companies and American people. But at the same time, our own government is also trying to push their own version of this under the radar. It's like, okay, well, it's like fucking Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top. That's literally the perfect thing I can think of for this.
Or this hearing, as you can see here. Feel free to pause the video. But pretty much within this hearing, they were just directly stating, we do not like what you're doing to American companies, how you're trying to fine American companies, how you're trying to bully American companies to do what you want, even though they are not in the United Kingdom. There's no business for UK or the EU to be able to force these companies within America to buckle and bend and do the will of another foreign government. They're not having it. And so this more or less, I think, is the beginning of a very long ordeal. Like, this hearing is probably the start of probably a lot of different hearings, a lot of different, I guess, back and forth between the individual countries, talking about the situation of the Online Safety Act and the Digital Service Act. And for those that need a kind of a summary on what the UK and the EU has been doing, which I don't know why you would need it, but as we've seen already in the last month and a half, the EU has done anything but protect the children or think of the kids. The whole point of the Online Safety Act, or how they were pushing it and advertising it and how it got passed, was that we need to protect the kids. We need to think of the children. But we know that that is a straight up lie, that the Prime Minister and everyone in the UK has done exactly the opposite of actually protecting people. In fact, they have put more children and more women and people within harm's way than actually protect them. In fact, they're labeling people terrorists if you dare even talk about, let's say, immigration. They are throwing people into jail for memes and just random posts on social media platforms.
Yeah, that's wild, dude. It's insane to me that if you so much as speak negatively about the immigration that's going on over there, they will quite literally throw you in jail. Like, that's insane. The fact that they're using this as like, oh, we're doing this to protect the kids. Meanwhile, they're essentially allowing people to come into the country illegally, and you have zero clue who these people are, is fucking wild. And what's even worse is you have literal people who are in favor of that, who are defending those actions. Like, shit, I had people in the fucking comments being like, "Oh, this isn't a win for Edmonton, the place that essentially kicked out all those illegals who were essentially essaying kids and whatnot." They were like, "Oh, this isn't a win for them. It's a win for petty bureaucracy." It's like, what? Are you stupid? Like, bro, these people are being kicked out of these hotels. They'll be forced to either live out on the streets and forced to go back to their country, or they're gonna be forced to, yeah, either live on the streets or go back to their own country because they're essentially, they can't live here for free anymore. And it's like you're acting like that isn't a win. Kicking these people out of places where there are children, knowing that they're gonna do harm to children, that you don't see that as a win. How fucking retarded are you? Like, it's so stupid. It just baffles me that some people, and honestly I think those fucking comments are literal bot comments, because it's like, how do you see actually protect, like, people taking action to actually protect kids from, you know, these individuals who will quite literally do harm to children, as a bad thing? I will never understand how some of you people can view that as a bad thing and not see that as a win. Like, holy shit, dude. It'll always baffle me. But anyway, let's continue.
Forms, they don't care about actually thinking the children. They more or less want to control you and stop you from what you're doing and become a nanny state, which is very relevant to what we're about to talk about, actually. So this is the Prime Minister of the UK, aka a very big person in power, and this is what they had to say literally a few days ago. And I'm gonna read this big bunch of mess here that really just goes to show the priorities of the UK, and also this individual that has been actively advocating and pushing the Online Safety Act. I won't shy away from decisions to protect kids, even if there are predictable cries of nanny state. We're stopping shops from selling high caffeine energy drinks to under 16 so they can turn up to school ready to learn. The absolute gall of the Prime Minister of UK to say something like this is actually unhinged. It's so unhinged because anyone that's been paying attention to the news, anyone that's within the UK and also around the world, has seen what the UK has been doing. They have been actively censoring their population, the citizens of the UK. There is massive protest within the country right now. They are not protecting kids. They're not protecting women.
Yeah, instead they'll fucking do the opposite. If you so much as criticize them, they'll be like, "Oh my god, no, you need to be arrested. You're clearly an enemy of the state." Even though what they're protesting against is the blatant censorship of the people. Like, it's pretty mind-boggling that they're quite literally trying to play devil's advocate. Like, holy shit. It's like, how are you gonna sit there and claim that you're doing something to protect kids, all while also, you know, also while literally the people in Parliament quite literally denied a bill or a law, or I forget what it was, that would have essentially allowed the police force to target these gangs that are grooming kids. Like, it's wild to me, dude. How? But no, you like, dude. You know what's even more wild? I keep getting recommended this one video on YouTube. Let's see if I can find it. About a guy who essentially who's part of office. Fuck the heck, excuse me. Who's part of office, and he quite literally voted for the bill. And it turns out, like I said, he had materials of kids that, you know, this supposed bill was supposed to stop. Like, what? The people in government themselves are the ones who have these things. It's insane. Ooh, that looks interesting. Like, holy shit. Ah, crap. Of course I can't find it now. Why? Let's see if I can... No, I can't. Alright, we'll continue this then.
And if you dare speak out about what's going on within the country, if you wave your own flags, for instance, the British flag, you are labeled an extremist. You're labeled a terrorist.
Yeah, that also baffled the ever-living shit out of me. Not gonna lie. That also baffled me. Like, you could literally fly around the flag of a foreign country in your own country that is quite literally committing like these horrible, atrocious acts, and that's okay. But if you fly the flag of your own country, you're gonna be labeled as a terrorist. How does that make sense? How does patriotism get you arrested? That literally makes zero sense to me whatsoever.
And it's insane the priorities that the prime minister, the one that has been advocating for the Online Safety Act, the one that has been censoring the internet and started this whole domino effect in the last month and a half, the fact that they are more focused on stopping energy drinks from getting to kids than actual real problems just shows how the government of the UK is actively working against its population. It's a government that doesn't care about what its citizens think. It's a government that just doesn't want to listen to what its citizens have to say. I mean, there was a petition with over 500,000 signatures, which is a lot of people, and the government responded saying, "We don't care. We don't care what you have."
I'm glad he also brought it up because that's literally what I stated. What like at the start that there was a literal petition in the UK to essentially uh, um, appeal or reappeal. I'm sorry, my terminology sucks ass right now. But there was essentially the petition to essentially get rid of that law that they put in place, and they just brushed it aside. That's why I say that, which is why I'm like, when he started the video and he's like, "Oh, all these government, there's these petitions." I'm like, are they really going to do anything given that, one government has already brushed it aside? Will it realistically do anything? If it does, great. Great. I'd be happy to fucking do another video and be like, yo, these petitions did something. They actually managed to do something. Like, that'd be fucking amazing. But you have to think about it from this standpoint. If one government already did it, who's to say this other government isn't gonna do the exact same thing?
To say. And the fact that the prime minister legitimately says nanny state as well, cries of nanny state, listen to your citizens. They clearly are not happy. Your population is not happy. It is actually insane just seeing how unhinged this prime minister actually is and how they have complete disregard for their citizens getting actually harmed by people. So this is Brazil trying to do the exact same thing as what the UK has been doing for the last month and a half to the internet. So let's read what the Brazilian government has to say. So last week, a Brazilian judge ruled that removing content deemed unlawful under Brazilian law is not enough if limited to Brazil. The judge is now demanding the global removal of online content under threat of hefty fines for the platform. These decisions are based on recent Superior Court of Justice. So, to more or less summarize this, pretty much Brazil's like, okay, we're going to censor a population, we're going to censor the internet, stop you from speaking or saying what you want to say, but obviously this is not effective. This is not as effective as we would like because obviously VPNs exist and different governments and different people around the world exist as well. Basically, it's not an echo chamber. And Brazil is like, okay, we don't like that it's not an echo chamber, so we need to also make sure other companies and other places around the world censor themselves as well. And this is something that is showing an obvious pattern. It isn't just Brazil doing this. For instance, we have seen, UK, they have been trying to censor the internet. We have seen Australia do the exact same thing, the EU trying to do the exact same thing, and there's probably other, countries as well that I'm completely unaware of. The point of the matter is that there is a clear pattern, that a lot of governments are echoing the exact same thing. They're echoing this statement to where censorship within their home country isn't enough, that they need to force this will upon every single country worldwide. And we've already seen the damage of what one country can do to the internet worldwide. Collective Shell, the activist group within Australia that literally had Steam, Itch, and a bunch of other people just basically deplatformed or debanked and lost thousands upon thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, and force Steam to change their policies thanks to payment processors. So we have already seen governments trying to enforce their will worldwide in terms of censorship because they know it's not as effective if it's just their country. They want other countries to follow suit. So that's the point here, is that we have another example of the Brazilian government doing the exact same thing. It's not the first government to do it, and it's probably not going to.
You know what I hate the most about this? You know what I hate the most about this with like the Steam issue? Steam is also an American company and they didn't even bother to try to fight back against the censorship. They just outright bent the knee to all this shit. Like they're bending the knee to like all these foreign governments implementing censorship and all this stuff. Meanwhile, you have 4chan, who's also an American company, actually trying to fight back against censorship. Like it's insane to me. Like holy shit, dude. Like Valve is literally based in fucking Bellevue, Washington. That's where their headquarters is. Like it's fucking insane to me that that American companies are so eager to bend the knee when it comes to censorship to these foreign entities when it's in clear violation of our own laws. It's fucking wild.
To be the last. But the reason why this is so interesting and why I'm bringing this up is obviously to spread awareness of it, but also to talk about the situation of how this is related to the 4chan stuff. For those that are unaware, about a week and a half ago, 4chan was getting fined by the UK government to basically censor itself. 4chan was saying, no, we're not. We're an American company. Piss off. And that's pretty much.
Yeah, the fact that Valve didn't also try to do this shit is wild to me. I'm not gonna lie. The fact that Valve actually bent the knee when Valve is known for being like the people's fucking platform and whatnot, it's like, dude, how the mighty have fallen, if you ask me.
What was said. So, American companies and sites and stuff, they don't technically need to listen to foreign governments. They don't. But obviously, these governments think they do have the power. And we've already seen some companies, some websites that are very massive, already bend the knee, so to speak. YouTube, Google, Apple, and also other little companies and stuff that it's slipping my mind right now. But we have seen companies already try to buckle and bend for these governments to censor and affect everybody worldwide. So that's the point here.
itch.io, another one, is also an American company. It's based in San Francisco. They also just outright bent the knee to all this shit. Like it's so stupid how some American companies will just outright bend the knee to all this stuff, and then it's like, why aren't you bothering to fight back? You have the means, you have the resources to do so. Like, why aren't you trying to fight back? It's insane to me.
Is that it's obviously working, and I'm bringing awareness to this for it doesn't work. And since we were already on the topic of collective shout, let's talk about the stuff with Australia, which is pretty interesting actually, because it showcases that there is individuals within Australia that are not on board with the global censorship and even collective shout as well. So let's read this real quick. Australia's Senate ordered the release of all emails between e-safety commissioner Julie and GARM, a global censorship group backed by ad giants. Operative word right there. Published emails reveal a grant coordinated with GARM to suppress political speech online while in office. So, pretty much what we have seen already with multiple different countries, and just like I said, the last month and a half, is that, UK, for instance, they have been censoring freedom of expression and speech. I mean, if you talk about politics or different things that oppose the government of the UK, they'll arrest you. They'll strip search you. They did it already to someone. And it's clear that there is.
Bro, they're quite literally doing it over goddamn memes. It's fucking insane, dude. Literal memes will get you arrested. Memes that you sent in your private goddamn Discord server will get you arrested and whatnot. That is insane to me. Like, bro, dude, it's always mind-boggling to me how people will be like, no, they won't do that. Literally, this is the same fucking government that said if Americans are making fun of their government or speaking bad about the UK, that the UK is gonna arrest them. Like, this is the exact same government that said that. And people are like, and people act like they won't do this to their own citizens when they're already trying to do this to citizens of other fucking nations that have different freedom of speech laws. It's straight up mind-boggling. Another fucking American company that bent the knee. Fucking Discord, also based in San Fran. They also bent the knee to all this shit and all this censorship. It's like, bro, it's fucking insane.
There's definitely some rampant corruption going on, and people are globally trying to censor people from speaking out about certain perspectives or viewpoints on politics. And apparently, there is now an investigation into emails in Australia about this, about global censorship. So, this doesn't necessarily just stop at Australia. This most likely can open the doorway up to what's potentially going on globally, since it literally mentions global censorship group backed by ad giants, which is very interesting. Ad giants, there's quite a few big companies that host ads. Google is a good example. So I am curious to see more about this when more information is revealed. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a nothing burger or it goes nowhere, because this seems like a very important investigation into what's been actively going on, since technically Australia is like ground zero for what's happened in the last month and a half. I mean, with Collective Shout targeting Steam and targeting itch.io, I think that it's interesting to see something like this. So I'll definitely have this, I'll be paying attention to this. If more information comes out about it, I will definitely talk about it. Since we're already on the topic of Collective Shout, I guess let's continue talking about Collective Shout, because they've also made themselves look even more foolish in the last few days. So legality is not the defining factor. Steam's censorship campaign details it seeks removal of games whether legal or not. This is the headline of the article, and if you go down the article and you start reading...
I'm sorry, I like zoned out a little bit there. What did it say? Legality is not the defining factor. Steam censorship company detail is seeking to remove the removal of games whether legal or not. Yeah, that's insane to me, dude. Like, bro, it's insane to me that they're actually trying to pretend that video games somehow are illegal. It's like, bro, it's fictional media, for the love of God. It's the dumbest shit on the planet. Like, genuinely.
Whether legal or not. This is the headline of the article, and if you go down the article and you start reading it, this piece right here is what really stands out. And this is what Collective Shout had to say. Our work focuses on combating the sexual objectification and exploitation of women and girls, so we focus our energy there, says Roper. That said, we call out this objectification and abusive depictions of women and girls even where they are not illegal. Legality is not the defining factor. It is about documented evidence of harm to women and girls. Now, we already know...
But this is fictional media. If you really gave two shits about the quote-unquote objectification, sexual objectification and exploitation of women and girls, you would have gone after sites like Pornhub, you would have gone after OnlyFans, Fansly, the top 3 most rampant for objectifying women and girls. Like, holy shit. It's insane to me. Because literally, what? Little Tay, the perfect example, the moment she turned 18, opened an OnlyFans, and according to what I heard, she quite literally released images of that she took of herself before she was 18. How? But that's okay. You won't go after that. But you'll go after video games, because fictional anime titties bad. It makes no sense, dude. Genuinely, it makes zero goddamn sense. Like, why aren't you going after fucking OnlyFans? Why aren't you going after Fansly? The websites that quite literally exploit women and exploit the consumers. It's mind-boggling, dude. Like, these websites are the most predatory and parasitic websites out there. And they won't even bat an eye towards that. They won't try to get payment processors to stop backing that up. No. It's okay for you to pay $50 a month to talk to some woman who's quite literally sexually objectifying herself, like it says here, but paying for a video game that was made in Blender because jiggle physics too high is bad. That's what you'll go after. Bro, like, dude, it doesn't make any sense.
Collective Shout is known liars. They make up information, they make up fake emails, domain names, etc. to be able to spread this propaganda and agenda to censor the internet, censor gaming and art, etc. We've already seen it. And this is the same group that tries to stand together to defend cuties, by the way. If you don't know what cuties is, that's good for you, but...
Yeah, I'm glad he brought it up. I was about to also say, they also defended cuties and backed cuties up, which quite literally sexually objectifies little girls. Like, it's insane to me, dude.
Obviously, cuties is unacceptable because it actually objectifies and exploits real people, real girls. And so the fact that they will defend that, but they will go after icky Steam games or itch.io games and stuff, showcases their priorities. And this right here showcases that they won't stop at just like content that they think is illegal. They will stop at content that they won't even stop at legal content. That they will go after legal content as well to get it censored. So it's very clear that this group of Karens is very malicious. They do not care whatsoever. They just want to have all the power for themselves and to say what you can or cannot play or watch. So yeah, that's basically an update on Collective Shout, pretty much showcasing just how unhinged these Karens really are. Apparently, Japanese news outlets are now starting to cover Collective Shout. They are covering them actively, discussing what's going on with payment processors, what's been going on with the censorship of the internet with the UK Online Safety Act and everything. There is a lot of conversation now within Japan about censorship, and it is boiling to the surface. The mainstream public within Japan is now talking about it. A lot of politicians are talking about it. Yamada Taro obviously is a good example of this. And I think that this is good. We're seeing more conversation within Japan, that the common, normal citizen within Japan is now aware of what's going on, and they're not happy. So I think that this showcases an escalation that Japan is...
Honestly, I feel like it's good that Japan is talking about this, because realistically, they're the ones that are getting hit the hardest with all this shit as well now. Because, like, Japan, one of Japan's most popular, I won't say it's its main export, but one of its most popular mainstream exports is anime and manga. And with all this censorship that's coming out, Japan would essentially have to cater their anime and their mangas to the rest of the world, which is something that they don't even want to do themselves. Like, you already have politicians. I think it was this guy right here, who was literally stating that, anime should remain Japanese. That anime shouldn't cater to anyone else other than Japan, because that is what makes it unique. That's what makes it popular. The fact that they cater towards their people and they don't cater towards any outside influences. And with all this stuff going around, they would essentially be forced to cater to it or to just release it there. And not gonna lie, I'm amazed more voice actors aren't essentially trying to fight back against this censorship and whatnot. Because realistically, if anime and manga becomes a Japanese only thing, because they don't want to cater to the rest of the world and they essentially only release it in Japan, that's a lot of English VAs who do dubbing who would quite literally be out of a job. Guess what? Because there won't be anime or manga in English anymore. There won't be subs. It'll all only be in Japanese, because they're only going to release stuff in Japanese, because the rest of the world would essentially be trying to screw them over. And the fact that there isn't more outrage about this is fucking insane to me. But again, like I said, I'm glad that the Japanese are actually fighting back, and they're like, no, fuck you guys, no.
Is actively fighting on the front lines against censorship to allow freedom of expression to flourish. And speaking of freedom of expression, the Florida law that banned Assassination Classroom was blocked by a judge. And this is some legitimately good news, actually, to see. This is a victory for freedom of expression and just for the...
To quote Charlie, woo! That's what I've been waiting for! Let's go. I fucking forget what else he says. But yeah, this is actually really good. Because if something like this gets blocked and is overturned, then maybe, just maybe, the law that was passed in Texas that's essentially doing the exact same thing to anime will also be overturned. Because that law that passed in Texas that Chibi also talked about, that went into effect 5 days ago, was also already deemed unconstitutional years ago. Like, this is the first time they tried to pass that law, and it was already deemed unconstitutional by the US government. So yeah, it's like, bro, it's stupid, dude. It's stupid how they always try to go back and redo this rodeo instead of just moving on and trying to do something else with their time.
those to be able to create what they want or read what they want. So let's read this for a second. A Florida law that was used by conservative groups to ban Assassination Classroom and other famous anime titles has been overturned by a federal judge. Signed into law in 2022 but expanded in 2023, the law was struck down on the basis of it being a violation of the First Amendment right to free speech. The Florida bill did two things in
This is the exact same thing that Texas law is about to fucking go through. The exact same thing is about to happen here. They're gonna take it to the federal level. A federal judge is gonna look at this. They're gonna be like, "Didn't
Alice
Florida
just subscribed? Welcome to the Leviathan Kingdom."
Thank you for the sub." But yeah, like Texas is gonna go. The Texas one is gonna go through the exact same thing. People are gonna They're gonna start getting outraged. They're gonna start suing, and they're gonna take it to the federal level. And the federal judge is gonna look at this, gonna see that Florida already did something like this, and they got overturned. And they're gonna be like, "Yeah, no, this is unconstitutional, as per the First Amendment right to freedom of speech."
relation to book censorship, demanded school libraries to remove any books containing obscene content, and it empowered any resident of any county in Florida to demand any remaining titles removal from the libraries. We covered how this law was used to ban Assassination Classroom in one Florida county in 2023, but that was just the beginning. With PIN.org, nearly 5,000 cases of banned books in Florida, the highest in the nation. So more or less, what happened here is a judge pretty much blocked this law, this bill that was pretty much censoring book reading, banning books, etc. within Florida. A judge came in and was like, "No, we're not having this." And so it's not just Assassination Classroom that has now been unbanned. It's a bunch of other books, basically. So this is good news. It's good news for creative freedom, freedom of expression, free speech, and everything. Just great news overall. And speaking of good news, Yamada Taro, the politician within Japan, he has confronted payment processors like Visa and MasterCard, talking about the rampant censorship on Steam, Itch, different websites, a dating app within Japan, pretty much confronting payment processors, and there is some progress. Yamada Taro said that there is progress being made, so we don't know too much else besides that, but that is good news. So there is once again, some good news going in Japan, where there is progress fighting back against it. But that's pretty much about it. So yeah, there is so much that's happened. Like I said, some good, some bad, but overall, I'm just going to continue talking about this because I think it's incredibly important to continue the heat and pressure on these different companies and countries, and people need to be more aware of what's going on because I'm very passionate about those being able to express themselves, and I think that it's important to fight for stuff like this. I feel like it is one of the most important things I can do as a content creator, fight for people, and I am very happy I can use my platform not just to talk about this, but also communicate with other politicians, for instance, like Japanese politicians, about what's been actively going on worldwide. And I'm very thankful to all of you that have been supporting these videos and allowing me to actually talk about this. But I want to wrap it up here. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, leave a like on the video, do leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm. Chibi out.
Yeah, like, God, dude, all this censorship that's happening at the same time, it's fucking wild, dude. Fucking wild, genuinely. But, like, I'm glad people are fighting back. I'm glad there are some governments out there that are actually trying to fight back against this. Like you said, it's really good that, you know, some people aren't just taking this shit lying down. And it's also really good that, you know, Assassination Classroom and the judge essentially overturned this law and said, no, we're not having that. It's unconstitutional, because that essentially leaves the door open for that Texas law to also be reappealed, because, you know, what's going to happen to creators like Saba? What, you just won't be able to see Saba in Texas? What about Leaflet? Leaflet's model could be quote-unquote seen as a child, depicted as a child. What about Rev here, whose model's a lolly? Like, it's just stupid as shit. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube jazz, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Later.